What's up, Salas here. In this video, I'm going to be reading part of my list of top 10 nonfiction books. And I'm going to extend on this. This started with a friend of mine posting this on social media. He just posted something where you list one every day, and then every day you tag a friend. And he tagged me on the first day of his posts. And I thought that was pretty interesting. I hadn't really thought of these, and I've thought of some other books since I made this list. So I'm going to be adding lists. I might wait until I can think of 5, because these are kind of short things, as you'll see. I might go like 1 or 2 or 3. I don't know. I'm just going to keep going until I've gotten to at least 5 or 10 minutes, whichever one goes first. So the first one is Steven Pinker, The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined. Now this book, when I made the list, I hadn't even finished the book, and I was just already amazed by taking in this information. And I have a video talking about how suffering may increase, yet the number of people how the world may get safer, yet the number of people suffering increases. Just because of the simple fact, like, let's say there's more people, and there was like some simple things being pointed out in this situation where in the past, the death tolls may not have been as high, but if you look at the percentage of the population, it would be a situation where past wars may have had a situation where maybe like 10,000 people die. But if that's from a community, an environment where you have 50,000 people, that's a large percentage of people. That's 20% of the people dying. Now, with the world wars, you had millions of people dying, but that may have been only 1% of the actual population in the involved areas. So something as simple as that. But this book, I think it's one of the best books I've ever listened to. And this book, and currently I'm right now going through Man, Economy, and State, so that's probably going to be a separate video. But I was just thinking, this book by Steven Pinker, The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined, and Man, Economy, and State, I think those should be essentially middle school or high school. High school should just be 9th grade, studying these 2 books, let people understand it and know what it is, and then it's good to help you a lot just thinking about how much better the world actually is today than it's been in the past. And with that as well, it means we have a lot more to lose as a society, as a community. So yes, even though it is safer, there's a lot more to lose. So I still think it's important to figure out what the negative things are, point them out, and find ways to deal with them. Okay, the next one, day 2, I posted Universally Preferable Behavior by Stephan Molyneux. It's called Universally Preferable Behavior, A Rational Proof of Secular Ethics. So with this one, this is what I wrote for it. So I think I always struggled with rationalizing my faith. Moving around, I got to see many different cultures, got to see many different versions of the same religion, and I supposedly needed to be a good person. I'd go to I was born in France, then moved to Kenya, moved to the United States of America, was always raised in more Christian kind of environments. In France, I wasn't kind of too young to really understand some of the stuff, but the indoctrination starts at that age. I came to Kenya and was going to an Anglican church, and then when I went to the United States of America, it was mostly Presbyterian, and by that time I got into my teens, and finally when I didn't have to go to church anymore, I kind of stopped going, but I was still mostly Christian and trying to understand my faith in that sense. I took a comparative religion class in college. I'm not in college, in high school. Started learning more about other religions, went online, started getting all this information. And it could never really sit with me, but it was so ingrained with me. And it's just such an expectant when you're raised in this, that this is something you need to be good, that you can't be good without God. And this book helped. This book helped a lot with Stephan Molyneux, and I'm always going to have a place in my heart and be thankful for Stephan Molyneux. He's a philosopher. He's got a great YouTube channel. If you listen to my stuff, you've probably heard about him. If you're a regular listener here, I've mentioned him before. Or if you just come across the kind of content I have, it's probably likely there. And some of my deciding to come out and actually start making videos is partially inspired from having listened to his stuff. So got to see many versions of the same religion, and I was like, okay, so if this person is a Christian but behaves this way in Kenya, this person is a Christian but behaves that way in Washington, D.C., this person says they're Presbyterian but they don't go to church, this other person says they are, but then the kind of church they go through does this and this, and I was wondering, so what are all these differences? So accepting I did not believe was was tough. Just coming to the point where I finally let go of it, and I think the main actual point of this was I think one of the big things I can think of that was like, okay, I'm finally actually letting go of this, was when I was in university. I was in this. I was in university. I played sports, got a partial scholarship to play American football, and there was this thing, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, led by one of the players on the football team, and he had a pretty good life. I mean, he was pretty Christian when it comes to the typical traditional Christian type of things. He didn't drink, he didn't curse, he went to church, he led these church groups, he was really nice and personable. But he had some issue involving, he really liked the ladies in a certain way, and he would kind of have relationships where he would cheat on them and be bouncing from one girl to another and things like this. And I remember him saying something where he was like, "That's my one vice." And I was thinking, wait, your one vice is actually, of all the things, like you drink, that's affecting you. You curse, that's how you appear. But then why would your one vice be something that actually messes with other people's minds? Because when you're doing this with women and dating and things like that, it can really mess with people's minds. But anyway, that wasn't the main thing. So already questioning how you could be completely good in all these things, but then, oh, I have this one vice. I didn't really buy that. I was like, yeah, it didn't really sit straight with me. But the main thing was, we were discussing the book of Revelations after one session. And after we kind of had a little get together where people would sit by and talk and ask questions to each other. And I remember asking him or somebody else, what would happen if somebody like the Dalai Lama died? Because the Dalai Lama has obviously heard of Christianity. He has heard of who Jesus Christ is. And, through the kind of belief I had, at that time I was just general Christian. I wasn't following any denomination or anything. But he just responded really quick, he's going to hell. It wasn't even a thought, because it was just automatically, he's going to hell. And I was just thinking, like, wait, why? If the Dalai Lama has lived a better life, a more just life, a more moral life than I have, then why should I get to go to heaven because I somehow believe in this story, in this individual, in this person? And just that was one of the main things that made me kind of just be like, okay, I can't really deal with this. And it took a while. It took years really coming out from that point where I was like, okay, I really have to find a way to completely divorce myself from this and just find different ways to do things. And universally preferable behavior helped. Once I finally found this, which was years after that happened, it's a rational proof of secular ethics, which is just showing basic universalities. I think one of the things I can kind of point out from them where he's talking about, like, stealing can't be a universally preferable behavior, because if everybody in the universe everybody on Earth wanted to steal from each other and thought stealing was a positive thing, then you wouldn't be able to own something to begin with for somebody to steal it from you. But something like, so you can't, for example, just a simple thing like rape. People say, without God, how are people are just going to be evil and people are going to do these things? But no, that doesn't make sense. Look, you can't have a situation where everybody thinks raping somebody is positive, because by definition, rape is you physically aggressing against somebody in one of the most horrible ways possible. But if the person wants to be raped, then you can't rape that person and everybody be kind of raping each other. You can't exist. So that kind of situation cannot be universally preferable behavior. And that's just a really crappy kind of average of what it is. But Stephan Molyneux, he does a fantastic job of making his case with his secular form of ethics. And if anybody's out there kind of wondering about different things and thinking like, okay, what should I do about this? What should I do with my whole morality and things like that? Then I think this is something that you guys can actually take on. I suggest you actually go there. I'm going to leave links below, both to the first book I talked about here, Steven Pinker's Better Angels on Nature, and Universally Preferable Behavior. And it's looking like up to 9 minutes now. I'm probably going to end up with just these 2 books on this time here, and kind of continue this series as we go. Maybe I'll try to expand actually more further into some of these books. But these books kind of go together because Steven Pinker does make some case about things like the Leviathan. He's talking about the large states, large organizations, larger nations, large governments that have some kind of tempering effect on actual society. And yet with universally preferable behavior with Stephan Molyneux I also found out about the non-aggression principle and things like that, where he's built the universally preferable behavior off the non-aggression principle. And with States themselves, leviathans, they violate the non-aggression principle because I define a state as any organization that has a monopoly on violence over a given area, and that's what the state kind of has. So there's some things that go kind of together where you're kind of wondering in the first book when he's talking about Steven Pinker's going back and cataloging the violence that's occurred in history and talking about the different reasons people have been violent through faith and through belief systems and over resources and all these things. So what would a peaceful world look like? What would a peaceful society look like? And I think what's been laid out in Universally Preferable Behavior by Stephan Molyneux is something that I think could work. Now, this involves also peaceful parenting, which is another thing I got from Stephan Molyneux a lot. It was an amazing thing. Again, this also counts in the non-aggression principle. If we have more people peacefully parented, people are going to be a lot more open to things like universally preferable behavior. It's going to drop the violence. There's going to be more about this in later books here. So anyway, with this one, I challenge anyone to check it out. I think there's something for everyone in universally preferable behavior. And there's a group, I'm in some groups some online where I've also met some people in actual life and going to meetups and things like that. People who are involved with the Free Domain radio community. That's the station that it's a podcast, website, and information that Stephan Molyneux puts out. And he bases his philosophy on this. This is part of the philosophy, part of the shows. And there's still religious people in there who believe, who have read this book, who agree with most of the things in the book. And that's what I'm saying. So with these things, I think these two books, that's a good way to start off the series. Definitely check them out. If you guys have actually checked these books out, listened to these books, or I've listened to audiobooks. I love audiobooks. But I really like audiobooks. I don't like using the word love, unless it's actually... Okay, anyway, so finishing up right there. So these two books, the two books of this one, I know I said 5 at the start. Apologies for that. I'm going to be sticking to aiming around 10 minutes and trying to get as many books in every 10 minutes with these things. And that's it for now. So Steven Pinker, The Better Angels of Our Nature, Why Violence Has Declined. Let me know if you've read it or listened to it. Let me know what you think about it. And Universally Preferable Behavior, A Rational Proof of Secular Ethics by Stephan Molyneux. Also let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe. That's it for today. And talk later. So have you ever been one of those people who used to make fun of people who read or say, proudly say, I don't read? Or do you know anyone like that? Because I'm just wondering, what is the mentality behind that? Because not too long ago, and still today, you have to go far distances to experience certain things. But with the ability to read and get stories and get information that way, you can get information and have the lived experience transmitted to you of people who you've never met. And some people you can't meet, going back into the past and finding information from there. So what do you guys think is the mentality between people who say that? And yeah, that's it. Goodbye.